Welcome back to the Streets to Entrepreneurs Academy and your Credit Mastery course study. And now we are at inaccurate and negative accounts. See, the way that we teach is we're not going to just teach you a remedy for just one particular error that might keep reoccurring. No, we're going to teach you the whole knowledgeable, relevant information that comes with credit in whole. So let's get into what is an inaccurate and negative account on your credit report and how we can identify these things. So we're going to learn and teach you key features and, let's say, procedures that are supposed to be taken to make an account accurate and verified in the first place. To start off and understand credit, you have to understand that when you give up your personal information as a consumer, this is considered a credit transaction. So anytime you even go to apply for credit, this is a transaction of credit, because what happens when you input or give up your personal information, especially your social security number, they do what? They go and check your credit score and run a credit history check. That's like running a background check. That is by law considered a credit transaction. From there, it's certain legal things that they have to do and information and documentation that they have to send to the consumer. Like when you get approved, they send you a card. When you get a denied, they tell you why and send you this little report to contact the bureaus on what reasons. Anytime there is a credit transaction or something going on with your credit or your credit report, or let's say the interest rates go up, they're supposed to contact you, tell you what's going on, and send you documentations. Even when they sell your debt or exchange your information with a debt collection agency, that is considered a transaction, and you as a consumer are supposed to be notified and mailed documentations on what this is, what's going on, how they're doing it, who they're selling to, and do you agree, and stuff like that. It's a legal procedure that's supposed to be taken even in the exchange of your information to any other companies or third-party companies. Let's say your debt is sold to a debt collector. You're supposed to be notified ahead of time and mailed everything that's supposed to be in this legal procedure of them selling your debt to these companies, and you as a consumer have an option not to even go forth with this procedure. But the key thing to take in is that one of the first things we need to identify with any type of credit transaction is us as this consumer are supposed to receive all types of documentations that are legally binded to these credit transactions. That makes it easy. The first thing to learn is to understand that with credit, you are supposed to receive any documentations that pertain to credit that's in your name. If the interest rates go up, if the company goes down, or if they sell your debt, anything like that that consists of your credit, you as a consumer are supposed to be notified and contacted.
Have you ever received any mail about an account being sold to a collection? If not, then this is illegal under the FCRA and also a credit reporting error. Anytime there is a transaction of your personal information in relation to credit, you are supposed to be notified and receive certain legal documentation in regard to this credit transaction. If not, then a credit agency or an agency that deals with credit or debt has not followed the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is now a cause and reason to dispute. A collection agency must also respond within 5 days with certain required documents when a consumer disputes an account.
Now let's go into step 2 of what we're going to look at next, which is now all of the different data inputs, does it match across all 3 of these reports? If an account is in collections or charged off, certain things are not even supposed to be reported. On top of, did they even mail you anything about this debt? Is the debt validated, and do they have certain documentations of this debt and of you as a consumer agreeing to this debt? So now look at your credit report, and we're going to identify what certain errors are within these data inputs that are in each of these different accounts. As you're looking across your credit reports, and like we stated, things don't match. Like your monthly payment doesn't match across all 3, that's an error. If it's a charge off a collection account that has a past due date, That is an error. Miscalculations of your late payments that don't match are errors. We're going to highlight these errors across all of these negative and inaccurate accounts that you see. And as you see, even good and positive accounts have different information across your report. But we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on mostly the negative accounts, the accounts that are messing up your credit score and credit profile. So now that we have all of our credit reports, identify these inaccuracies. We're going to highlight them. As we highlight them, of course, it might be multiple of them. So what we're not going to do and what we're going to focus on and understand is now, since we have these reports and have all of these different errors, now we're going to write a dispute to the 3 credit bureaus identifying not all of the errors, but just 2 to 3 of the errors, depending on how much you want to put in work or write down. But why we only going to identify 2 or 3 of the errors is because of the fact that now we're going to keep the other errors as evidence in case they try to come back and verify these accounts. Because when you dispute, let's say 2 errors, they as the credit bureaus have to verify the whole report. They can't just target 2 of the errors and then come back and verify and it's still the other 3 on there. No. That is illegal and that's an inaccurate account and that's unverified. That is against the law, people. They're not supposed to do that. So now that we have our credit reports, now that we have it from previous steps and we have them downloaded and stored, and on that we have our time, dating, and everything that we keep in track of, we already now have our evidence and enough information to fight if they come back. In the disputes, we're going to write down all of these different accounts. We're going to write their account numbers, and also we're going to collect their contact information. Then we're going to write all 3 credit bureaus. So that's going to be 3 letters. And we're going to identify in them the explanations of these 2 errors for each account. So if you put up, let's say ABC Company, then in the explanation, ABC Company has a report date wrong across all 3 credit bureaus. However you simplify the explanation makes it easier for, let's say, these computers to understand what are you targeting and trying to get across. It's not really no need to put a lot of technicality into your letters to identify these errors. You can also handwrite your letters. And from handwriting letters, I see that depending on your penmanship, you might get a little bit more of a faster response from a human person to evaluate your, let's say, dispute. And also these computer systems have a hard time understanding how to read each individual's person handwriting. Depends on how you want to go with that. We also have in the course templates that you can download and edit yourself. We're going to write these 3 dispute letters to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. We're going to identify the accounts. We're going to identify the errors. We're going to put 2 errors for each account. Now, after we get these letters formatted for the 3 credit bureaus, now we're going to do a debt validation letter to each one of these credit accounts or negative accounts or inaccurate accounts to now send us a debt validation.
Now, before we get into debt validation letters, let us cover an example of what errors or an error might look like on a credit report.
Now, as we look at the examples on screen, we can identify how across the 3 reports from this example, there's errors and incorrection. Now, seeing from these examples and probably looking across your credit reports, you're going to be able to see now and identify now errors. This means that any credit report, anytime you get into any future credit problems, you're going to be able to identify first, did I get any certain type of documentations? And then now look at these certain reporting datas and the stuff that they're reporting and being like, hey, this is wrong. My monthly payment date is wrong across your bureau. You need to fix that. That needs to be verified, and I would like you to send me all of the verification, how you verify the documents to me, please. So now we learned that. And we know how to identify errors. Now we're going to get into dispute letters. Like I said, we're going to dispute these 3 credit bureaus with all of the accounts, and now we're going to do a debt validation letter to each one of these credit accounts or negative accounts or inaccurate accounts to now send us a debt validation. With a debt validation letter, it's not a dispute. It's just a process of them, what they took to do, how they got the debt, how did they acquire it, who the original debtor is. It's a whole bunch of stuff that comes into, as you probably can read into our debt validation letter, that comes into what validates a debt. They have to now send you these documentations and also send these documentations to the credit bureaus to be verified. Also, during this process, these accounts are supposed to cease reporting until these accounts are verified. So now we're going to mail out these letters at the same time to the 3 credit bureaus and all of these different accounts certified mail. Now let's discuss certified mail. Why we do certified mail is because with certified mail we are now able to track the processing and the correspondence of when we sent these letters out, when they signed them and received them, and now it's a time limit for when they are now to respond back with this certain documentation, and then now either delete it or verify this account. But they must send you these documentation. And each account that's reporting any inaccuracies now also has to send you these letters. Now, we mail all of this at once and send our letters to the dispute, and then we also do a debt validation mail off to these negative accounts. This is a different tech and a special technique that we use, and a lot of specialists and gurus don't even teach people. That is now working hand in hand to now get all of this stuff corrected at one time. Now we're going to mail these letters off certified mail. With the debt validation letter, you just input the company's contact information, now sign it, and ask them to send you in all that documentation as outlined in our debt validation template. In our debt validation template, as you can see, there is a lot of key features that we have included by law. Also included in this course is other new laws and outlines of what they have to abide by to also validate debt. Please review our resource documents that are included that consist of what are now the new requirements to also validate a debt. Now we're going to write our debt validations, get our certified mail together, and probably have to come up with the ways to get some funding, because certified mail receipts are free to get at any postage, but it costs a fee to mail out. The fee varies state to state or wherever your location is. So depending on your location or what state you're in, certified mail fees are going to vary. So for us in New York State, it's about $4 per certified mail envelope. So let's say we have about 5 different letters that we have to send out. 3 to the credit bureaus, and then let's say 2 other accounts we corrected. That's roughly around $20 to $25. And I know that we have all spent less for less. That's about how much it costs, but the whole thing about certified mail is now we are able to keep a track record. They are now liable also to keep a track record of when they corresponded and when they have received these letters, the dispute, and this mail. To conclude this assignment and course study of negative and accurate accounts, we have now learned the whole knowledge base of everything that consists of reporting and what comes with how to report and what they need to do when they're reporting information. Basically, when it comes to documentations you're supposed to receive, and then a certain data that's supposed to match across all 3 of your credit reports. We have also put them in now a different type of situation by forcing them to also send us documentations on how they validated this debt. So now we know that with inaccurate and negative accounts, we know how to identify this. We know also what legal procedures are supposed to be taken in the beginning of anything of a credit transaction. Each time something is dealt with your information, you're supposed to be receiving certain documentations and notifications about it. After that, when you're evaluating your credit report has to be exact, accurate, and verified. So if across your credit report there are inconsistencies, those are errors to target out. Now you're going to write your dispute letters and do our special technique, and also do debt validation letters at the same time to mail and target both of these errors in all of these companies so they can do the right thing legally. Now, I'm telling you, write out your letters, get all the information you need, and also your certified mail. Let's mail that out. Then once you mail that out, we're going to move to the next step, which will be the waiting game.